Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. First tonight, the Treasurer is set to enter a bitter pay dispute with furious public sector workers over a proposed 2.5% wage increase that falls short of inflation. It comes as Michael Ferguson spent the day making his first budget palatable to industry groups, promising to get Tasmania out of debt in 2 years' time.
Wining and dining the top end of town, Michael Ferguson's Conservative fiscal plan was appetising among the business community.
We returned the budget to balance and a small surplus in 23-24. We can afford all of our commitments and we're being very wise with other people's money, taxpayers' money.
But a projected 2.5% pay rise for public sector workers has left a sour taste in the mouths of many.
And that's certainly not something that they're going to contemplate after the 2 years that they've been through.
The Shadow Treasurer also claiming the state government doesn't have its priorities in check.
Here they are doing nothing about the cost of living, offering a real wage cut to public servants, and at the same time pretending that $750 million for a floating stadium is a good deal. It's not.
But Shane Broad might need to play catch-up on the detail before delivering his budget reply.
I'm so glad that he's chasing me around today because he might actually learn something about our budget. It doesn't include a $750 million stadium.
Forecast to hit $5 billion of debt by 2026, one economist says broadening land tax could be the key to getting the books back in black.
Which doesn't have to raise more revenue, but could, and would certainly give the state government a more stable and predictable revenue stream than stamp duty does.
Before we start talking about tax reform, I want to actually lock in the GST that we depend on and ensure that that guarantee is secured long term.
One of the biggest threats to our economy could be a change to the GST carve-up when the current deal expires in 2027, which could see Tasmania lose its fair share from the national coffers.
Unless the dirty deal is undone by that time, it's absolutely crucial to Tasmania that the transitional guarantee be extended, preferably indefinitely.
A task for the new Treasurer to pick up the phone to Anthony Albanese and fight for Tasmania's economic future. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
A 23-year-old man has been charged with trafficking drugs and firearms offences following a targeted search in New Norfolk yesterday. Police say it's unlikely the incident is linked to a wider criminal network.
And it was a combination of both cannabis, cocaine, MDMA and also prescription pills. And as mentioned, there were four firearms, 2 of which we've confirmed to be stolen.
The man will front the Hobart Magistrates Court at a later date. For the first time, Hobart City Mission will host its Sleep Rough So Others Don't Have To fundraising event. 200 Tasmanians will be rolling out their sleeping bags tonight at Princes Wharf, raising awareness and funds to combat the state's growing homelessness crisis.
That money raised will go to providing emergency accommodation, long-term accommodation, food and support.
The reality is, for a bunch of reasons to do with our economy and the cost of housing, the cost of living, people are doing it very, very tough at the moment.
City Mission is just $2,000 away from meeting its $120,000 target. Drivers are asked to avoid the Bridgewater Bridge as it will be closed to all traffic this weekend for essential maintenance. The Department of State Growth says one of the bridge joints has deteriorated, in addition to damage to the road surface, supporting concrete and reinforcing. Detours will be available through the Bowen or Tasman bridges. The road will reopen at 6 o'clock Monday morning. JACKJUMPERS coach Scott Roth isn't easing up in the off-season, engaging with schools, basketball clubs and communities. Following the success of the Paint the Town Green campaign last month, the NBL Coach of the Year is thanking the JACKJUMPERS' youngest fans for their support.
Marching their way into the grand final series, the JACKJUMPERS had the state's full support. The Ant Army came out in droves last month, with schools and businesses painting the town green.
It's been very inspirational. You know, as the season was winding down and we were getting close to getting into the finals, the entire state was at a buzz, and this particular school, we came up with the march idea, and we showed this video before one of our games to our players of just how much they were inspiring us, really, to go play and defend the island.
St Leonard's Primary spelt out their support on the school oval.
We all loved basketball. It was one of our most favourite things to do at school, and we all thought it would be a great idea to enter the competition and just do that for fun.
250 students donned the green, securing the Paint the Town green crown.
We have won enough basketball singlets for our whole entire school from kinder to grade 6. We've won a colouring book for each student, some basketballs and some beanies. It's awesome. We actually didn't think we would, win that competition.
Coach Scott Roth has been exploring the north, stopping by at St Leonard's Primary this morning, facing some of his toughest critics, before travelling to Riverside Primary this afternoon to thank the team's smallest supporters. The Jack Jumpers have inspired a new generation of basketball fans, with 53 schools around the state taking part in the Paint the Town Green campaign. Re-signing for 3 years, Coach Roth has fallen in love with the island state and put Tassie on the map.
I think we woke a sleeping giant. I think that Tasmania could be the hotbed for basketball for all of Australia, and it's our job to continue to grow it.
The Ant Army will continue to grow in the off-season, with the Jackies set to return to the court in October. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian whisky is celebrating a milestone birthday, marking 30 years of distilling. To honour the anniversary, the state's first licensed distillery, Lark, lit up the skies over its Pontville estate with Tasmania's first drone show. It told the story of Tasmania's distilling industry using 60 drones, providing a colourful display. Lark has also released 2 new single malts to toast the occasion. Dark Mofo has lifted the cloche on this year's winter feast theme of Saturnalia. Vendors will have the chance to share their culinary creations, while children can buzz around activities including beeswax candle making.
The temperature is dropping, but the festivities are heating up as the City of Hobart Winter Feast reveals this year's theme of Saturnalia.
Saturnalia was traditionally a feast that celebrated by the ancient Romans that welcomed in the return of the light after the winter months.
After spending 2 years living in Italy, Dark Mofo's newest food curator has taken it upon herself to bring the rich pagan culture into Tasmania.
We are the food bowl of Australia here in Tassie, and we really do have access to some of the best produce in the world. Nobody works harder than food producers.
The feast will feature 80 stall holders with some big names on the menu, including Giovanni Pilu and Joe Barrett, whilst also showcasing small businesses like the Bee Collective.
For me, the Roman theme, I've brought it forward into the next century, sort of into the 19th century, and I'm looking at the emancipation of women through beekeeping.
Jenny will be running interactive candle making classes and supplying her local leatherwood honey to some of the chefs.
There might be 20 litres of Bee Collective honey going into at least one of the dishes.
With density limits scrapped and visitation levels set to spike, Tasmania will be biting down on a meaty economic boost.
Previous years it's been about 500,000 people to Dark Mofo and 100,000 people coming into the Winter Feast.
The public can dig into the feast come June 15. BRIANNA, BOYLEN, 7 Tasmania News.
The City of Launceston's green spaces are coming to life, with stage 1 of the City Heart project nearly complete. $19 million provided for the installation of street gardens and new public art seating, giving a nod to the city's history.
One turbo type of seat where you can see the duck reach in the middle of it, so a picture of that to do with our history. You can see a brick seat, which is going to be to do with our combined sewerage systems. There's greenery, more greenery in different places, Charles Street and right here as well near Macquarie House.
We're really interested to see Launceston become a really competitive place for businesses to set up, for people to move here, for visitors to come here.
Stage 2 of the project will see redevelopment of St John and Patterson Streets. In the TSL, Lauderdale has swung the axe, making 3 changes for this week's must-win clash against Clarence. Both sides are coming off heavy losses last week. The Southern Bombers coach speaking candidly about his team's past fortnight, saying their efforts haven't been up to scratch.
And a lot of it's just that effort-based stuff. You know, you've got to be prepared to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty, and we're just not doing that for long enough periods.
Meanwhile, Clarence's coach is expecting both teams will be desperate to win.
I think both teams are out there to make that statement, and we'll see how we go.
The Eastern Shore rivals are also raising awareness for mental health, playing for the Stay Chatty Cup. Turning to local soccer, and South Hobart and Olympia will go head-to-head this Saturday at the Lacko Seljack Cup semi-final. Olympia will be playing on home ground, but says the match is made difficult through player inconsistencies.
Being a young squad, or such a young squad, there's players available, unavailable for various reasons, injuries as well, throw that in there as well, and I don't think we've had the same starting lineup 2 weeks in a row.
Olympia will be a different team. They'll have some changes in there, stronger changes, so we'll go into the game hopefully not complacent.
The winning side will be one step closer to competing at the Australian Cup. The Tridents are through to the semi-finals after a turn of events this afternoon. Starting out in 5th position, Tasmania bowled over their second-placed opponents Moama in the latest Bowls Premier League competition. Despite losing both games this morning, Tassie's new team bounced back, securing 2-0 on day 4 of the competition. The Tridents will continue their campaign tonight in the semis. A Tasmanian basketball player has come up with a stunning buzzer beater in the Senior Men's League. With just seconds remaining on the clock, Thomas McClellan pulled off a superb hook shot from downtown to end the quarter. The City of Launceston player's performance has even earned him praise from the coach of the JACKJUMPERS.
Okay, that's absolutely crazy.
Ed, could he potentially be a future JACKJumper?
Well, if he does that consistently, absolutely. That's a heck of a shot.
It's bound to give Thomas some well-deserved bragging rights. Sport has been a central focus of this television station right back to the earliest days on film. In tonight's special Friday flashback, we're wrapping up this station's 60th anniversary with a look back at the evolution of our sport coverage.
If you wind back the clock to the very start of TNT9, you'll find even then, sport claimed much of this station's focus. Our archive includes priceless footage extending back to long-gone events, such as the 3-day Examiner car trial and the old Tour of the North cycling race. Some events are still going. Here, the 1963 Bernie Gift, West Park's famous annual feature, which is still covered 60 years on. The local sport presence was extensive: golf, tennis and motorsport, but television also allowed Tasmanians to see beyond their backyard. Like the 1963 Melbourne Cup, the first time TNT9 broadcast the race that stops the nation. And the FA Cup final that same year between Manchester United and Leicester City, likely the first international sporting event to air on this station.
And there it is! Manchester United 3, Leicester City 1.
In the black and white days, football made up a central part of our coverage.
Darrell, the state grand final, how's Latrobe going to line up for this game?
I think they should line up all right, David. We've trained pretty well, and the boys are still holding their keenness, and I think they should do all right.
State of Origin footy was huge, and no complaints from players despite the dumping of sand in the middle of the oval when Tasmania played South Australia in 1965. But as the colour era came, so too did the sophistication of sports telecasts.
And now I think we're due to cross to the Sydney Cricket Ground for today's direct telecast, the clash between Hawthorn and South Melbourne.
And in the late 70s, Sports Review became must-watch viewing for the local fan, hosted each year by the affable Ray James.
Welcome to Sports Review of 1978, and the year has been a big year of sport, and most of those major sporting events have been seen through the Channel 9 Sports Service.
TNT9 headquarters also hosted sporting events, like wood chopping in the car park.
And there it is, the backmarker Rob Stewart from Westbury.
And then there were the outside broadcasts, such as the ever-popular 6-day bike race. And of course, coverage of the Three Peaks race.
Good evening again, everyone. I'm Stephen Titmus. Well, drama today with the defending Three Peaks champion wildcard dismasted overnight.
Plus, one-on-one interviews with the stars.
Lance, from the West Indies point of view, are you pleased with the results of the tour so far, or are there some disappointments attached to it?
Well, there's a certain amount of disappointment due to the fact that Australia are, 2 up. Or 2 ahead of us.
This will get us used to English wickets and adapt our batting style to the wickets over there.
Speaking of the crowd, John, do you feel that it will lift you in your performance, competing for an Australian championship before your home crowd?
Oh, obviously, it's the pinnacle of the year.
I missed out on the Formula One Championship at Sandown through a puncture, so I badly want this one.
Then I had a crash with the car.
How bad was the crash with the car?
Well, I cracked a bone in my little finger and tore some muscles in my back and in my shoulders. And for that week before the games, I wasn't going very good, but I just come up on the day.
We have youth in our side, we have experience, the players are very keyed up.
I don't think there's too many people around that would say that I'm a sort of a cocky, smart sort of person.
Coverage where we've always tried to hit the bullseye. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Hobart and Devonport 16 today, Launceston 17 degrees and Burnie 15. 18 was the top recorded by St Helens. A warmish night too on Flinders Island, a low of 14 before 16 today. King Island, Smithton, Lowhead, Grove and Bushy Park 15 and Strawn 14 degrees. The rain from last night quickly moved on today, just a few showers over the west central and the far south of the state under some low cloud. More cloud is over southeast Australia with a band of middle and high cloud over central WA. Tomorrow a cold front weakens as it crosses the state, as another moves over Western Australia, a high pressure cell to the north. Winds nor-norwesterly at first, easing before tending west-southwesterly in the afternoon, swells to 3 metres. Another frost warning for the upper Derwent Valley has been issued as temperatures slip below zero. Hobart, tomorrow 14 degrees and partly cloudy. 2 overnight for Medina, a showery 12 tomorrow, 12 the top for Oatlands. Launceston 15 with a morning shower clearing, 15 also for Devonport, a shower or 2 for Lyowini, a top of 8 degrees. Burnie showers easing in 15, showery for Strawn, 14 the top and 15 for Marriottton. St Helens tomorrow a high of 16 degrees and partly cloudy, 15 for Swansea and Orford. On Sunday, a shower over the northwest and the Bass Strait Islands, otherwise fine. Similar weather for Monday with a few showers extending down the west coast, and on Tuesday showery all over, thunderstorms and hail possible over the west and far south, snow to 700 metres. Further north and a sunny 22 in Perth tomorrow, a shower for Adelaide, 15 and partly cloudy in Melbourne, an afternoon shower forecast for Sydney and a sunny 25 in Brisbane. It's cloudy around the traps at the moment, 10 degrees in Hobart, 9 in Launceston, Devonport partly cloudy and 7. Kim, you're just taunting me now, aren't you? You really want me to mention that doily ensemble you've got going on there, but I'm going to ignore it. I'm saying nothing except for have a nice weekend. Back to you.
Thank you. You just don't know fashion, Merv. And that is your news for this Friday. Lou and the team will join you over the weekend. For now, good night.